The Indian e-commerce market, with its robust growth and over $50 billion size, creates a need for ensuring faster access of consumer products to online shoppers pan-India. Our DHL Fulfillment Network product is set to take your services closer to your end customers. Our pan-India network of fulfillment centers provides access to brands for fulfilling orders to 80 major cities in the country within the next business day. Apart from e-commerce order orchestration and fulfillment, we also support you with a wide array of value-added services such as bundling, kitting and returns. Our end-to-end technology platform integrates with your e-commerce channel partners such as marketplaces or your own website. We can also provide last-mile delivery and return services or work with your preferred delivery partners. Our modular offerings can be fully customized to suit your needs, from serving customers across India from a single site to a pure omni-channel setup integrating inventories from fulfillment centers and retail outlets. We can also scale as per your business growth. Our sites can also serve as staging sites for your overseas e-commerce shoppers. DHL. Excellence simply delivered.
Okay, good morning. Actually, good afternoon now. On my behalf, and as well as on behalf of all DHL colleagues, a big warm welcome to each and every one of you in this room. A big thank you to all my panel members who've joined us today. India is now considered as the growth engine for the world. And there's no doubt that e-commerce is an integral part of that growth. And as a matter of fact, all of you, all of us can be extremely proud of that because we all are contributing in that particular growth and sphere as well. In this discussion today in the panel, we're going to talk about the customer's experience in terms of fulfillment, and more so in relation to e-commerce logistics. And when I say the word e-commerce logistics, what I mean is about inventory management, inventory optimization, and at the same time, very importantly, about when the order drops in the storage location of warehouse all the way till the delivery point. It's about that experience and how can we make that fulfillment more exciting. Now, before we actually get into our discussion for the day, I felt that we can have you all a little bit involved in it for two reasons. One, we get a little bit of your more attention, and at the same time also that we get a bit of your perspective on the topic that we're going to discuss with all the panelists today. So for that, can I have the Slido up? Yep. So you can just scan this code from your phones and it'll take you straight to the questions. And don't worry, these are multi-answer, 3 questions, pretty simple. It's about giving you a view and more so even anonymous, so don't worry about it at all. I'll give you another about 15-20 seconds to get ready, and then we can get going with the first one. And as panelists, you can participate in that as well if you wish. Totally open to you. Okay, let's get to the question number 1. So your first question is, which of the following is so you have to choose one, the most important factor for you in your e-commerce logistics? Okay. So you can see the results coming up. Yeah. So close to 60% believe it has to be reliable with more flexible delivery options. And I'm surprised actually fast and faster is not on the minds of everybody. Okay, so it's fast and reliable, yeah, and more flexible options. Good. Let's move to the next. How important are micro-fulfillment centers in improving customer experience? Extremely important. Mostly important for very large brands, or larger brands, not important. Okay. Somewhat a divided verdict, but in a larger sense, extremely important. Okay, let's move to the last one. So now you're stepping in the shoe of a customer yourself, and no more a brand and a seller. So as an e-commerce customer, which of the below is the most important factor in your shopping experience? Pretty clear. Reliability and a good delivery experience. Okay, thank you so much for that. And let's now get on with our discussions. So let me take a seat as well. Yeah. So let's begin with the first one, and it's pretty much in line with the first question that you saw here today. So do you all agree that, or as a matter of fact, do you agree that the faster fulfillment is extremely important for your brand, and why? And Nija, we could start with you.
So being a fashion brand, being a sustainable fashion brand, most important, it's instant gratification, right? People who are buying offline are now buying online for convenience, for the number of options that they have online, but also because they also want that same experience to be repeated of getting something instantly. You look at something online, you're really mesmerized with the look, and that's the female experience I'm talking about, especially when it comes to lingerie. You want it to reach you as quickly as possible, but as the poll rightly said, reliability is also as important, if not more. So for us, I guess, quick commerce, all those things take a back seat, and best is what is the experience in terms of transparency of where it has reached. If the customer just knows that, they are happy. It's fine if it comes maybe 2 days later, but they need to be aware, because online shoppers, these engaged online shoppers, are now very used to the process. They understand, but they would definitely look for transparency in the process rather than just speed. So reliability, and that's a concept in the mind, right, of when will it reach me, whether you're telling me the right thing or not. So transparency, I would say, is the top of the mind for my consumer.
So transparency, visibility in terms of milestones, and
Yes.
then obviously reliability.
Correct.
And you're okay that if the product reaches a day or two later,
Right.
the customers should be fine with it.
Right.
So Nitin, how do you see this?
See, I think reliability plays a big role, but it also depends on the category you are playing in. Like for example, we as a cocktails, like if someone is partying at home, and if they need the product, and also in that case, the faster delivery will become the priority, key priority. So I think it also depends on the category itself, but reliability will play a very, very big role, I believe.
So in addition to that particular answer that you gave, so do you believe that plug and play options, quick start of fulfillment centers, being closer to the customers makes a whole big difference in terms of speed and also equally reliability?
I believe yes, that's plays a big role, because all the quick commerce platforms, which is playing a big role in every FMCG products, because they have opened more fulfillment centers to reach out to faster and reliable options. And I think that dark stores option will play a very, very big role in coming days.
Okay, Pranav.
Yes.
So dark stores is one part of it, right? And you can give your comment as well as on relation to the dark store. But also, I was keen to understand that plug and play, quick start. You're a brand. You want to focus in terms of getting the reach to the customers, a quick logistics setup in terms of warehousing, speed to the customer, in terms of
I
delivery.
would say extremely important with the growing kind of facilities that are able to pamper customers. They're getting more and more used to faster deliveries and better delivery experiences. For us at True Native, we have been a firm believer of reaching the customer as soon as possible. So we've built out a logistical system wherein if you place an order and it's in the metro city, we ship to you within 24 hours. And we use air shipment. We've been managing to crack the rates on that, and it's working well for us. And that has really helped us gain a larger share of having the customer buy from us again, right? So I believe for a D2C brand, it is extremely important that your first purchase is not profitable for sure, right? You want him to be a repeat customer, and delivery experience is a very important factor. If he has a sour experience in the first time he's buying from you, trust me, no matter how many offers you push out, it's very difficult to bring the same customer back to your domain, right? So I would say for us, and I think a lot of D2C brands around, reaching the customer within 24 to 48 hours should be imperative and should be, definitely looked at.
Plug and play model actually is complementary for both the sides, for brand as well as for the consumers. Like, because if someone is providing a plug and play model, that means they are specialist, right? And from brand side, you need to get specialized people. It will be a more of a very high cost. And then plug and play model will be beneficial for the brand as well as for the consumer, as both the sides.
Okay. So Vikas, listening to what the other panelists have said, what are your views in terms of, again, one, reliability, speed, plug and play?
I think what they said is actually reliability, of course, is the first point. But speaking about my brand is more about speed, because I can say that PSafe is a classic case of a digital CPG, right? We show our product online and people buy it, be it Amazon or from quick commerces. But recently, what we have seen that the repeat is actually coming from again the quick commerces. Between 9 to 11 is where the maximum toilet sheet sanitizer sells in the evening. So speed matters at that point of time. Reliability, because if they are buying hygiene product, they have to be very sure that it's actually handled very carefully and all. So for me, both speed and reliability. So yeah, that comes in.
So you're also a brand which has probably a lot of SKUs that you sell, right? So, a related question would be that in order to manage the reliability as well as the speed, you also need to have a good mechanism of your inventory optimization, right? How close you need to keep, what kind of SKUs you need to keep closer to the consumption areas. So how do you manage that?
See, it's a still work in progress. It's a learning because we just grown. बोलते हैं एक startup एक अदरक की तरह grow हो जाता है, right? And then we have to cut it off. कि what works for us, what doesn't work for us. So it's a lot of learning for us. But what we have done is since we were omnipresent right from the day one, we were present in different places, and we are working on a strategy where a customer can order online and they can actually pick it offline. Say, for example, if he's traveling, he doesn't have it right now, he's in the airport, he can go and walk into a store and they can buy it. So still it's a far fetch ideas, but we are working on that. Along with that, we definitely want people to stock. But again, it's a learning. Amit, every day we are learning this SKU will work, this won't work, and I think everyone will agree. वही सामान बिकता है जो आपके स्टॉक में नहीं होता है. So you have to keep on learning every time.
Sure. So Saurav, you have been selling your product off and online, both. So tell us, the difference of experience, the difference of customer demand, and you heard all the topics that we are discussing. So relate to that particular piece and give us your views.
So basically, we are largely an offline company. General trade is where we generally operate. But to answer your question, I have a very different perspective. When you ask the question speed or reliability, I think reliability in this day and age, with the level of interaction that the consumer has or the access the consumer has as of today, I think reliability should be a given. I mean, that there's no options. There's no second option in terms of that. Yes, speed is something that you get onto the table, and that could be a differentiator for you. That could help assist that transaction. But reliability has to be a given in this day and age. That's one. And for me, I feel customer experience or customer learning or being close to your customer is of utmost importance as of this date. Because eventually how you're going to sail through is the experience that you're going to create for them, and that insight comes directly from them. If it keeps getting filtered, then you're not going to be you're not going to have the pulse of the market. So knowing your customer is absolutely imperative in this day and age.
Okay. Let's shift a bit. We've been hearing in the last or earlier sessions, for that matter, in terms of sustainability, right? And it's a key topic for all of us. So, from a sustainability standpoint, what are you doing as responsible brands? So, Neeraj, we can start with you. And
For us, the product itself is sustainable, right? So we start from the base, which is the core product that we are selling. So it's sustainable out and out from the growing of the cotton. So we do organic cotton and bamboo innerwear for women. From the growing of the cotton to all the processes that go in any production, because there are 4 or 5 processes before it actually becomes a usable product. So all those are sustainable, and it's a certification process. So it's not just a hearsay; it's actually certified by a third party. And of course, consumer is demanding, and the world has changed. Like when we started, sustainability was not a buzzword. It wasn't really thrown around in conversations. But today, everyone is aware, and even usage of a little bit of plastic anywhere raises an alarm. So all the packaging, everything is again sustainable for us. In terms of the actual process of taking that product to the consumer, I feel I would not lie, it's still not sustainable, because the carbon footprint that we are actually using over there, we're not able to solve for that. So I think it would take bigger companies or maybe the logistics side to actually help out to work at that challenge, because that piece is still not sustainable.
so, because you want to take this, so my keenness is to understand two aspects. One, from a product perspective, like Nija said. The other is obviously from a e-commerce logistics perspective. Right from the packaging, like she mentioned, all the way then to the experience that the customer sees. If the product is delivered in an e-vehicle, right? So look at that particular journey and see. While you may be doing a few things out of this, but what is it and where is it that you want to take your brand?
From the product, from the product side, I think we are one of the champion for sustainability, because if you see our entire menstrual care or a period care range, they are based on sustainability, be it menstrual cups, reusable pads, or biodegradable sanitary pads, or the tampons. We try to use, and we actually, we had a campaign called Bleed Your Way. So I'm talking about the product. So we give an option to the administrator that, okay, you can use any products which fits you, but it has to be sustainable. Though it's expensive, and I know that I agree with Nija that it's a long journey ahead to reduce the cost of the product when it's sustainable. So from that angle, from the logistic, I'll say that in fact one more thing which we are working is ESG. We are working on the ESG certification, because we bring in impact angle to our product as well. Reusable pads, say for example, or menstrual cups. So I think all startups should start working on ESG, because there are a lot of benefits are involved when it comes to ESG. When it comes to e-commerce, of course, we have never used plastic as a packaging. We have always used shredded newspapers and other stuff while it comes to packaging. But when it comes to distribution, I think using e-vehicle, it's all depend upon the logistic partners, right? If we go to and use e-vehicles, do we get some kind of benefit, carbon footprints, if we get credits? I think more and more companies will start doing it. Europe is doing it. I think they show their carbon credits when you buy a flight or book a ticket. They show, right, on an international airline that you'll be using this much of carbon credit. So if that comes on e-commerce platform, that, okay, if you are buying a particular product, you'll be consuming this much of plastic, this is what the carbon footprint will be. I think it's a long process, again, Amit. But what we as a brand can do is we minimize use of plastic, reusable packaging, not using a virgin paper for your mono cartons. I think these are the few steps we can take it.
So Nitin, you were very specific about the speed aspect of delivery. So I'm taking you connecting this particular dot of the sustainability in terms of the delivery experience, the distribution part of it. So is that critical for you? Do you really see that aspect of sustainability in your distribution, in spite of meeting your speed aspiration?
See, sustainability for us is We use, earlier we were using thermocol boxes because it was a glass bottle product. But then we stopped using that because now we use cardboard boxes. We tried a lot of, drop test and everything for sustainability, and we came out with very, very, useful things that we are not using any kind of, thermocol just to be sustainable side. And that's how, while that cardboard is much more, costly for us, but then we are using that thing so that we will be more sustainable on a environment side.
Okay. Let's shift now, a bit to the returns, and this has obviously been, a big challenge, a pain area for all the e-commerce, industry as a whole. So from that aspect, sort of, while I'm not sure how much of your brand, the returns are seen, but look at it from an industry perspective. Give us a view in terms of what you see. What are the challenges? What could be done to eradicate this?
To be very honest with you, we are a zero RTV company where there are no returns whatsoever. I think that's a function of the product being what it is. But as an industry perspective, as a consumer myself, I mean, just from that sense, I mean, if you just compare it to the Western countries where return at any given point in time during the transaction or post the transaction can happen. I think we're far behind in that aspect. Having said that, it's very, very difficult for the brands, especially the ones like my panelists have, to sort of manage the entire cycle of the product being sold and then returning it in a fashion where it is reusable or resellable. That becomes critical, and I think that is probably an issue that most of these guys will be able to discuss better.
Okay, so you want to take that?
So, like he rightly said, how the returns are handled, right? So when the consumer is ordering something, of course, the logistic person is going to take it very carefully. It will be handled in a very different way than it is handled when it comes as a return, because return is almost, it's not a sale, right? It comes slower to us, so blocks our inventory. Then it comes in a very different packaged, it's a gunny bag, it's a gunny sack, literally. So the pieces are literally thrashed. Packaging, of course, cannot be reused. So for us, that's not sustainable to even throw that packaging away. Like, even if it's a little dented, even if it's paper packaging, right? It will not be, if it's handled that way, it will not come intact. If we send that back to the consumer will definitely complain that it's a, reused product. So that changes their experience. So for us, it's an added cost. And right now, I don't see any solution of how to really handle that return piece unless, again, the logistics sides, and that obviously is a cost. It's not like the logistics guys are not aware of this, right? So that added cost needs to be taken by the consumer. And I feel the Indian consumer is totally spoiled, right? We expect free shipping. We expect everything to come at fast pace and also be returned immediately, because our money needs to come back immediately again back to us. Nowhere in the world this happens. So us as consumers are, I feel, really rash in our expectations. And the cost bit we don't really understand. Like, from the consumer point of view, they don't understand that this incurs additional cost. So for us, since it's innerwear, the returns are much lower than industry standard, maybe 8 to 9% compared to any other apparel brand, if I would compare, or fast fashion would be 25, 26 is very normal, right? So for them, I think that would affect their business in a massive way. So there I see that it's a consumer piece also which needs to sort of change, and the understanding needs to come from everywhere, not just the back-end side or the brand side.
So you're right. As a matter of fact, from an apparel standpoint, it could be as high as over 30% as well. So yeah, they definitely struggle on this particular part. But Pranav, what's your take on this? What's the scenario in your brand?
Yeah, being a food and wellness brand, we've had a variety of experience on this. In fact, we sell through Flipkart and Amazon to a lot of cities, and we've had packages. They've got the protein out and they filled it with flour, right? So protein is a 2,000 kg rupees commodity. Flour is 30 bucks. and then you haggle with Flipkart and file the safety claims and this and that. But this is a issue, which you can tackle only with having, in our case, a non-returnable product, right? So with Flipkart and marketplaces, we've gone to a non-returnable model because we faced a lot of challenges in this. I mean, how do you even tackle this? In fact, it'll be funny to share that we've had slippers come in the packet. I mean, it's an expensive commodity, right? So people think कि packet खाली करके भर के भेज दो वापस weight उतना same हो जाएगा तो we'll get the refund back. And that's how this nutrition ecosystem is working on marketplaces. It's not just us. A lot of more other companies are facing these issues. For us, it's been a simple option that since it's a perishable or a food product, we are a non-returnable product on the marketplace. With regards to our D2C, we do offer returns, but on an unopened package, which is verified by our customer support executive before the RTO is booked. So very clear on that, and that as a business, we are, like Nirja ma'am said, we are here to serve the customers with a good delivery experience, good product. At the end of the day, you have to, somewhere create a balance between what you need to give in for, right? So I would say that is the approach we take over there.
Sure. And because for you, how is it going on the returns piece?
For us, it's less than 2%. We have a very robust, when it comes to our D2C platform, we do call customers. We try to minimize the CODs because that's where the returns happens. But again, I think Nija nailed it. I think the Amazon and the Flipkart of the world has spoiled customers. And you know what? I'm telling you a very basic, and everyone will agree when you are selling on your D2C platform. They want the same service from a brand which an Amazon or a Flipkart is happening, which is impossible for us to give, right? So it's better you sell less on your platform and do and be omnipresence. But again, I think it's gonna stay here. I think RTO will be there till the time COD is decreased. I think that's gonna happen. We did once. We stopped CODs. We saw a drop in the business of about 10%. But I think that's affordable if you consider 150 rupees or a 200 or 250 rupees product, which you sell and you are paying for both inward and outward logistics and the packaging damages. So I think again it's a long journey. RTO is gonna here to stay. If you're selling on your e-commerce website, on your own D2C platform, ensure that it gets delivered. Have a strong customer care. Try to avoid CODs. I think that's what comes. Otherwise, people have addressed all the issues we have.
Yeah. So what I hear from all of you is that your more concern is about returns being more of an RTO, not an RTS as much. So I think that's actually interesting. What I can tell you that since you don't have too much of RTS, you have already a lesser problem on the return side. Yeah. Okay, so this is one question where again I like the views of each of you. So what I want to understand is that we can begin from you, Vikas. That what's the core to your organization, right? So what I mean is that are you building a brand, or are you trying to invent e-commerce logistics of us, reinvent e-commerce logistics?
Why I will reinvent the wheel when DHL is here. So definitely I'm not building a logistic brand or logistic company. For us, it's creating a category. When we started P-Safe, toilet seat sanitizer spray, it was the first in the world. We're talking about menstrual cups, we're talking about panty liners, we're talking about female condoms in Domina. So we're definitely building a brand. And to build a brand, it takes years and decades and decades. So we have not even scratched 0.5% of what we can do. So I think we'll keep on building a brand and make people keep on coming and buying the product again. And how the brand is built, when you are not spending on customer acquisition for the second time. I think that's where the brand is built. So we are working on that repeats happens on its own. And
any one expectation, from a logistics service provider, any one that comes to the top of your mind?
I think all early start entrepreneur brand will agree that the logistic partner should give us the same rate which they give for someone who's shipping 10,000 orders a day. Agree? To start with.
Okay, good. That's good to know. Okay, Nija, what's your comment on both?
So, for sure, it's brand play and obviously not logistics. But there's an inside joke between me and my co-founder that अपन warehouse चला रहे. Because when we are only e-commerce, like that's digitally first, right? What we are essentially doing is, you want the product in Bhopal and I'm sitting maybe in Bombay and I need you to buy my product and not what is available in your vicinity. So I am essentially doing logistics. So that's the inside joke. Jokes apart, we also are very strong in maternity innerwear. Now, maternity is very specific in terms of innerwear. Innerwear needs would be for different functions, functional aspects, but maternity is also somewhere needed quickly, because you may not know when you're going to the hospital for your delivery and you didn't realize you needed it. And then it's also a difficult thing to manage, because you might be at your mom's place or your own place or the hospital. So all those things make logistics a very important part of our brand play, since it's basically e-commerce. So I would say, sure, brand play, but chala rahe warehouse.
And what's that one thing that you would expect from a logistics provider?
I would say that the person who actually delivers can be like the same experience that they get at the shopkeeper. That's what my consumer expects. They want them to talk to them nicely, not just be a transactional like ye le lo khatam kaam main ja raha hu. Not like that, right? They are running these days, right? Quick commerce, of course, everyone knows they are running on the roads. They are creating a menace, but also at the door, right? We, as a consumer, is receiving so many deliveries per day, but then the experience is very inhuman. So maybe humanize that.
Okay, that's good to know. Yep, Saurabh.
So we're definitely building a brand. There is no two ways about it. So in my case, it's just a very different experience in comparison to the rest of my panelists, because mine is more of a instinctive buy rather than a planned buy. So it's a very different experience in terms of even building a brand. So all our lives, ever since ever since I've come into existence or made sense of things, the only option that we've sort of gotten is, when you go to somebody's place, is whether you'll be either served a tea or a coffee or hot beverage or a cola. I mean, that's just how it's always been. And cola, for at least the subcontinent, is an adopted taste. It just came to us donkey years back, and then it's an adopted taste. So that's why we're trying to create a brand which sort of gives us an option of flavors which are more natural to the Indian palate. And that's where we're trying to create Lohri Jeera as a brand. As far as your question with regard to the logistics partner being able to do something better, I think that would be one, competitive pricing, and second is the transparency in pricing. That breakup, if we are to sort of understand the cost of the logistics that you all charge to us, this will just really help make sense of it. Yeah.
Good to know. Yep, Nitin.
Definitely, we are building a brand. We being like creating category, bringing convenience to consumers while people are, experiencing cocktails, going to bars, and a specialized bartender makes cocktails for them. Whenever they want to have it at home, they don't find any solution because they don't know how to make it. It's very critical because you need different ingredients to go into it. So we are building a brand and category. And in terms of the different kind of expectation from logistic partner, is definitely the competitive pricing. And then whether it is going to direct to consumer side, more humanized, and or more transparency, if even it is going to customers. Like for example, if I am sending my stocks from here to northeast or to a larger on a some longer part of the countries, then I need the transparency whether it will take 7 days or a 10 days or a 15 days time. So that's more transparency and competitive pricing.
Great, thanks. Yes, Pranav.
So like each and every founder, definitely a brand play. I mean, that's what we all are striving for. And like Vikas sir mentioned, building brand is very consistent and a long-term activity. You can't expect to build out brands unless you're building a cred wherein you spend 2,000 crores on IPL and you build a brand overnight. That is not what we are here for. So I would say definitely a longer term vision is to build a class leading new age wellness brand from India for us specifically. With regards to logistics, I feel we've been facing not many challenges as of now. We've taken some good steps to ensure that we've been investing money onto air shipment, like I mentioned earlier. So the only thing I would say is that the RTO needs to be treated in the same fashion as the onward transit, because that product somewhere has to go back into stock into our inventory. Just because an order has been cancelled doesn't mean that we have to throw away the entire cogs that we invest in that product. Certainly RTO experience could be a little bit better because we are being charged for that as well on the way back of the parcel, right? So I would say that is the only concern I have. Otherwise, logistic companies in the country also have been doing a fairly good job with reaching larger and larger amount of pin codes at a shorter time. So I would give it up to that fraternity as well, that it is because of y'all that we are able to operate the D2C, and so big ups for that. Yeah.
Great. So thanks to all the 5 of you. I'm hoping each and every one and your all fellow colleague brand owners have heard as much, that you're building, or all of you are building a brand, not logistics in that sense. Secondly, I obviously hear that you have certain pain areas, but then when I look back the poll results, we're pretty much circling back to the same thing. It's about visibility, reliability. It's about the absolute experience of distribution and the package reaching in a perfect form. And then, of course, the returns also coming or being treated in a manner as forward deliveries. So great. We've actually saved a bit of time for everyone here, and all of us can go a little bit faster. Thanks so much to all of you, and thanks to all of you as well in the room.